J Jinx!
Truck stop!
Happy belated National Knife Day. To observe this year's National Knife Day, I picked something up that has been really hot lately, and that is this Ozark trail knife. It just came out not too long ago, and it's a sub $10 knife that is being very often compared to the Benchmade BugOT. And when you put them side by side, the reasons are quite obvious. They're almost exactly the same size. They share many of the same features. A couple other knives that you could compare it to would be the SOG Terminus. I don't have a SOG Terminus, so I'll just flash up a photo. Another knife I would kind of say is comparable is the Schrade Divergent, which I've been carrying for the past couple of months, and this knife is absolutely fantastic for the money. I got it on sale for like a little bit under $20. I want to say I paid like $18 for it, and its pivot is so smooth you can literally like just let it do that. It is such an effortless knife to open and close, and sometimes that's not a good thing. I've dropped this on the floor only to have the blade just kind of spring open on its own, and it's not open assisted, so I guess having a little bit of tension at the pivot is probably a better thing, but it's so fun. But anyway, these knives plus the Terminus do share a lot of similarities, so I'm going to open this up and give my first impressions and see how similar or dissimilar it is to the BugOT. Now, one way in which these knives differ right off the bat are the materials. The BugOT I have here is made with CPMM4 steel. This Schrade Divergent is AUS 8, and this knife, I don't know what kind of steel. It says D2. Okay, and we have ourselves a 3¼ inch D2 high carbon steel blade, 4¼ inch injection handle. That's right. Ozark Trail calls their access lock a slide lock, and a belt clip, and cancer. You know, there was a time when any knife with D2 steel for under $10 would have just been insane. But here we are. Ozark Trail has done it. Let's do a very, very quick walk around. The centering looks just fine. It's got a deep ride pocket clip that's partially recessed. The back panel of it is, the screws are not. The clip is very reminiscent of something by Kaiser Cutlery, perhaps. Maybe on the Big Liter, or I think maybe, I don't know which model I'm thinking, but I am a fan of those kinds of pocket clips, so this one should work just fine. It's got a pretty moderately high amount of tension. Nothing too terrible, won't rip up your jeans, but it'll stay in place at the same time, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that'll be just fine. We have weight reduction on the inside. You can see those orange circles for steel cutouts. The liners are blackened, and so is the blade. And all of the hardware, really. And then it's got a nice J Jinx orange handle. A lot of people are picking these up to do writ dyeing. I've seen probably half the posts. People are dyeing these things different colors. So I think I've seen this also with a black handle, but I don't know if that's real or if someone just dyed it and say, hey, I got one in black. I don't know. Let's check out the pivot. Pretty good, actually. Wow. Not quite as effortless as the Schrade Divergent, but actually slightly easier to close than the BugOT. So something in between. If you're, if that is a parameter that you care about. So I'm going to look at some of the differences now. The blades are almost exactly the same length. There might be a difference of a millimeter or two, maybe. And the sharpening choils are cut a little differently. On the Benchmade knife, it's a little more rounded. On the Ozark Trail knife, it is a little bit more angular. And then looking at the handles, they are pretty different. I mean, they have the same basic shape, but the BugOT has more contouring to it, whereas the Ozark Trail knife, it's just kind of a straight edge on this side, and a little bit of subtle jimping, which the BugOT lacks. Another noticeable difference is the lanyard holes are cut in different shapes, where the BugOT's more of a kind of a triangle-ish shape, and on the Ozark Trail knife, it's an oval. The pocket clip cannot be put anywhere else on the Ozark Trail knife, whereas on the Benchmade knife, it can be reversed. I also see differences in the locking mechanism. The Ozark Trail knife has this kind of a stacked circular disc look to it, and the BugOT has kind of the same thing but hollowed out, and it sits inside a little bit more, inside that where that bar is. Whereas in the Ozark Trail knife, it sticks out a little bit. Not sure which one I prefer more. The divergence crossbar, crosslock, whatever posts also stick out a little bit more, and I've been loving that. But it works just fine. Either way, it's fine. Pocket clips are, of course, different. And looking at it from the top down, the Ozark Trail knife has handles, scales that are a little bit more rounded, where in the BugOT it's just flatter. Divergent, also flatter, but overall thicker, and it's just that classic knurled G10 with the satin blade and accessories, which I just really dig that look. Looking down through it, I see something kind of interesting. It looks like there's two little, oh, those are the springs. Okay, those are the Omega springs that are kind of poking through into the space between the liners there. I wonder if it's like that on these knives. Yeah, I never really looked. But these do have the end of the springs just kind of poking into that void space. That is not quite the case on the BugOT. Hard to tell with all the lint in there, but I don't see anything poking in. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. And then internally, of course, there's a lot of other differences. The BugOT has that kind of slotted piece holding the locking mechanism all in the same spot, whereas the BugOT and the Divergent, for that matter, have full liners going all the way down. These two feel like they're about the same weight. The Divergent is heavier, it's just got thicker steel liners and big slabs of G10, and the blade stock is thicker as well. And speaking of the blade stock thickness, we should probably compare that. They're pretty much the same to me. I mean, I don't have calipers on me, but they look the same. And we have the Ozark Trail logo printed on the blackened D2 steel blade. It says Ozark Trail Outdoor Equipment. I've always liked their logo, that mountain with the trail going up, because it is the Ozark Trail. Molded into the BugOT handle are a couple of slabs of knurled impressions separated by a flat spot at an angle. And my very, very first impressions of this is it feels pretty cheap. But then again, I felt the same thing about the original BugOT. Then I got this Smoky Mountain Knife Works exclusive with sturdier handle material, and I know a lot of fans of the BugOT will tell you, oh, it flexes. So what? It goes back to where it was. It's just like when you buy a car. You want it to look good, too. You want to like the way it looks, you know? I think the orange and black work really well together. It's Halloween colors, you know? Though I'm a fan of the classic black satin combo. I don't think this would look as good if it had satin for a finish. Plus, D2 steel does have a little bit less in the corrosion resistance department, so having that coating on it is probably a good thing. In fact, that's probably why they coated the CPMM4 with, what do they call that stuff? I don't know how to pronounce it. Cerakote? Or Cerakote? Something like that. It's just to keep it from oxidizing prematurely. I've got plenty of knives in D2 steel that are not coated with anything, and they seem to go just fine without rusting on me, but I don't live that anywhere near the ocean, or I don't put them through any kind of environment that would promote corrosion, so it's just not a concern of mine. And we've also got a little bit of that subtle jimping on the back as well. Holding it in my hand, it does kind of feel like I'm holding a BugOT, but with rounded scales, which is kind of what they were going for, I suppose. It's different. I don't know which one I prefer. They both feel good. I think the rounded handles might actually be a little bit more comfortable. And the terminus, I don't know, that's comfortable too. They're all comfortable. I guess maybe they are very comparable in that respect. So the last time Ozark Trail came out with something that had an axis lock, it was super popular as well, but I was just kind of disappointed in it in the end. I was really, really excited at first. I might have even said it was one of the best Ozark Trail knives out there, but after carrying and using it for not very long, I came to realize I was a little bit overzealous about my description of it, and so I want to carry and use this knife but be a little bit more objective. I suppose I could also be objectionable. So anyway, there it is, last one on the shelf. I would have bought two, because I am one of those people who, like, I get one to play with and I get one to keep in pristine condition, but I didn't have a choice. It was the only one. And that's okay, because I might hate it and then not regret getting another one to keep in the packaging. But I'll be honest, I will probably pick another one up and just throw it in my basement for a few decades or so. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I'll probably come back around, and if I have anything interesting to say after experiencing the carry and use of it, you might hear back from me. That is a smooth pivot. Not divergent smooth, but actually smoother than that.